Welcome back. Last of Us, Part 2, Episode 27. Is it the last one? I don't know. Here's what's happening. So, we're in Santa Barbara. Ellie came. She got word from Tommy that Abby was here. She came to finish it. Abby was here looking for other Firefly. She was taken captive along with Lev a few months ago, and this is where apparently she is. I'm of the belief that she's going to get here and she's going to end up rescuing Abby, and that's going to help bring closure to Joel's death. I don't see her killing her. I think releasing her, letting her go, that's going to give her peace. Because it'll somehow, I don't know, I just think that's how it's going to end. Oh, that was that gate I couldn't get through.
What happened? I don't know. It's gotta be a fucking stray. Shit. Spread out. Guard the tower. We're under attack. Shit! Over there.
Well, this backfired. Wow, that went about as bad as you could have imagined. Let's try this again.
Over here.
Criminally, I suck at this game. I am horrible at this game.
Right over here.
I even saw that guy coming.
Light her up! Right there! Cut her off! Here! God damn it! Todd!
How many of these guys are there? God dang it, what the crap?
Fuck are you? Why'd you come to our city, huh? God damn you!
That was terrible. I'm really, really bad at this. How can I be so bad at this? Is that a health bar? I guess I did have a shotgun. I thought I was out of ammo. Ow, that couldn't have felt very good.
Kill her! Bitch! I got the key! Unlock the door! There's the guns! Move! Come on, let's go.
Hey, where's Abby? She's bit!
Keep back.
Hey, don't put that fucking thing in
Hey,
me!
hey! Abby tried to escape. She's down in the pillars.
The pillars?
Head down to the beach. You won't miss it. She's probably already dead. Come on!
Where are you? Abby. Abby.
Or she'll put her out of her misery. Well, that too. I still think she's gonna save her.
Head to the beach. Holy. Abby?
Nope, the braids threw me off. Wait, isn't that her? No, it looks like her though. Is that him?
Please. It's you.
Telling you, she's gonna let her go. Or she's gonna say let the kid go, or something.
Abby. I got you. I got you. They're both this way.
Don't do it.
I can't let you leave. I'm not doing this. No. I'm not gonna fight you. Yes, you will. He's not a part of this. You made him a part of this.
So I was wrong about that. Okay, so this did not end the way that I thought that it would. I mean, at some point you just gotta be like... Or she can't do it. I mean, what's the point? I mean, or they're just gonna get exhausted. Did you bite her finger off?
No. Just take him.
Or she bit some of her fingers off. Okay, so it kind of ended that I didn't think there'd be that fight at the end. I thought they would be much more sympathetic, like, oh, like, you know, maybe see her in a down state, the kid, and then maybe let him go, but didn't think it would be that quite that way. I couldn't have felt real good. Is she gonna be here, or have they moved somewhere? Yeah, they're gone. Well, I mean, yeah, she told you that was gonna happen. That's alright, I already checked there. Yeah, she can't play the guitar quite as well with two less fingers. Is that it? Oh.
drinking?
Coffee.
Where'd you get that?
Those people that came through last week.
Oh.
A little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, but it's not bad.
I had Seth under control.
Yeah, I know.
And you need to stop harassing Jesse about my patrols.
Okay. Dina. Is she your girlfriend?
No. No, that was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. She just, I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
So stupid.
I have no idea what that girl's intentions are, but I do know that she would be lucky to have you.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
Yeah. I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I'd like that.
Okay. I'll see you around.
Yep.
No, is that the end? I think that's the end, yeah. Yep. Is there a way to skip through this? I guess I can do a little bit of wrap up here while it's kind of doing its thing here. I don't know if there's going to be like a post credits thing. That's happened to me a couple times. You know, it's funny. I've had a lot of time to, you think about what you're going to say at the end here to wrap it up. And I'm still sort of left just trying to wrap my head around it. I mean, first of all, let's get this out of the way. Extremely well done game. Not surprising coming from Naughty Dog. They're great. They do excellent work, and this is no different from some of the other ones that they've done. For me, the star of the game was the story, and I think they, much like the first Last of Us, the story was really really good. One of the things that I like in my movies and my TV shows and also in my games is I like very mature contented things. And by mature, I don't mean it's, you gotta have all this profanity and it's gotta be gory and it's gotta have sex and nudity and all this. I don't mean maturity in that sense, but I mean the topics at hand, the heavy nature of it. I like those mature themes. And this definitely had that piece of it. So for me, the story and the themes that it touched on, which I'll get to in here in a second, were really, really deep, really thought-provoking, and I very much appreciated that. Again, much like the first game, some of the parts that I wasn't a fan of. It's funny, obviously, you have this. The nature of this is there's this kind of outbreak, and you have these sort of clickers and zombies and infected and all these other kind of things. Those are like my least favorite part of the game. I like the people on people part of it. The parts of the game where you're kind of sneaking around with the infected and things like that. Those I'm not a huge fan of those, and I think you could kind of sense that in a couple of those missions, especially the hospital one when you're playing as Abby comes to mind when we're in the basement. I'm not a huge fan of that part of the game. Having said that, without that you wouldn't have this sort of a setting. What else could we touch on here? We talk about some of the themes. I think, at least for me, and I think this is what's nice about a game like this, is because it touches on these deep themes, there's some you can sort of interpret. It's almost like you're reading novels, or you're reading all these different things, and you can sort of interpret it a little bit. It's a painting. What do you see in this painting? Which, for me, I think some of the things that really were reflective in this game were, that's where to start. I think identity is one of them. So you saw, I think, initially, as it kind of changes as the game went on, but Ellie kind of struggled with that identity of who she, this relationship with Dina, which was new, and she wasn't quite. There was some hesitancy there. I think you could kind of see that early on, whether it was because it was a female-female relationship, or if it was just feelings for another person. I don't know that, but I think there was some identity struggle there. And also with Lev, I think that's with, shaving his head, some of those sorts of things. There was kind of finding yourself, who you are as a person. So I think that was there. I think another theme, more so with Ellie than I think a lot of other people, was that theme of guilt. And I think I've mentioned that a couple times throughout. I think the guilt really drove Ellie to do some of the things that she did. And I think that's led to some just struggles with internal struggles of just this stress that she's been through, physically, emotionally. So when I say guilt, I mean the guilt of living, the survivor's guilt almost. Going back to the first game where Joel saved her rather than let her die, the guilt of being alive when she could have led a cure to all this. Guilt of her relationship with Joel at the time that he died. I think when you saw her react when he was being beaten and killed, that's when her kind of true feelings left. Even though there was tension in the past, year, whatever, deep down she still really cared about him, and that guilt of having that somewhat frayed relationship, even with this kind of last scene here where they would, say try to forgive you. I think having never fully reconciled with each other, I think really hurt her and again really made her so determined to go after Abby, and that it was almost like she felt it was the only thing that she could do. In a certain sense, it was almost like somehow was it could we somehow get Joel back? How am I trying to say this? By doing that, was it in her mind sort of somehow getting Joel back, even though we knew he was dead? I don't know about that, but I think guilt was a theme in there for sure. Another theme is just sort of the effects and chain of events that can be caused by a decision, and how some decisions they're tough decisions. And again, that's what I like about this. They're very it's going back to the first game. I know this event happened in the first game, but you could see the theme in this carried over, which was again the choice of Joel to save Ellie. That's a very tough decision, and you look at it as if he would have let them have her, they would have been a cure. Society would have maybe recovered, but then she would be dead, and that her death again would be on his conscience for the rest of his life. He cared about her deeply, as you could see. But that one decision that he made led to this unfortunate series of events, which brought just a lot more death and suffering to people. So that's just sort of again a theme, the ramifications of these tough decisions. Another theme I think that was really evident, and I think it was made a point to do this in the game, was point of view. And I think that's why we played so much as Abby, and why we got so much of her backstory, which was really, she was in a sense doing the exact same thing that Ellie was doing when Ellie came to Seattle. It was, her father was killed, and she had to avenge that death. And I think for her, it was the fact that she just killed Joel and moved on. I think for her that was that closure that she needed. But I think you really saw her grow at the end there when she dealt with the scars and Lev, and became a little bit more of a caring person. And part of that was probably that she felt let go by killing Joel. But that was really intelligent, I think, on the developer's part to allow you to see that and see how in parts of the game, again, depending upon the point of view, Ellie's the bad guy. You know, you start off the game thinking Abby's the bad guy, and once you kind of get her side of things, you kind of see Ellie as the bad guy. And it's, again, sort of it's tough because who's right and who's wrong in that situation. I will say, I think, I don't know. I think the part that's really tough to see, and I don't know how. So, one other thing, Joel's death. I'm gonna come back to this. I could see. So I listen. I like the games. You know, I get into them, etc. But hopefully the singing does not carry over my voice here. I could see how people that are really invested in these games. Listen, I play them, I enjoy them, but I could see there's some people I know that could be really invested in these characters. I could see how some people would be upset. I don't know this. I'm just hypothesizing here. I could see how some people would be very upset with Joel dying that early in the game. When I decided to play this game and knew that it was coming out, I envisioned a scenario where he would die. I did coming in envision that as a possibility, but I thought maybe it would happen, maybe 3/4 of the way through, and maybe that last quarter of the game is Ellie kind of going out and avenging him or something to that effect, or him dying right at the end. And granted, they had the flashbacks, things like that. That was the other thing I liked that they did. The flashbacks really gave context to it, which was nice to see. But I could see how some people would be upset with him dying as early on as he did. And now I've already lost my train of thought of what I was talking about. Themes, point of view. Yeah, point of view. It's a tough. It's tough on who was right and who was wrong in that scenario. Again, you could interpret that in many ways. Is the message at some point you just have to let things go? Things are better off. I don't know if that's the message that they was intended, or if you could take that message from them. I did find when I talked about the tough decisions and what really hit hard was this last little bit when Ellie chose to leave Dina. And because they seemed very happy in that life, they had talked about it for a long time. To essentially throw that away, is and this might sound kind of cruel, but to essentially throw that away for someone who was dead, meaning Joel. That was a curious decision, and that's a tough decision. And again, I think it just goes back to that guilt that Ellie was feeling. And I still think her internal struggle to process what had happened still... Because you think about this... Here's the other thing, too. When you think about some of the main characters in this game, Ellie, Dina, Abby, age-wise, they're probably 20-ish. I would have to say, late teens, early 20s. And so that's that's a challenging period for people that aren't living in this sort of a time frame, where you're really trying to figure out who you are as a person, and I don't know if that's sort of what she was struggling with either, which was just who am I and where do I belong and what's my purpose. But that was a tough decision to see her kind of leave that, knowing how happy they were and everything. We don't know what happened to Dina. Did she go back to Jackson? Did she just go somewhere else completely? And, okay, so here we go. So the credits are done. So hopefully you can hear me now. Hopefully the song there at the end wasn't too hard to hear what I was saying. I was saying brilliant things if you couldn't hear me. Deep breath. What else would we want to talk about? So I think those themes, I think that I've covered most of the themes that I felt were there. Kind of going back to the gameplay a little bit. Now, we'll lighten it up a little bit before we kind of, I don't know if we'll get any deeper than what I just did, but gameplay, again, like I said, the gameplay has never been the strong suit for these to me. I've always, the story alone makes it a great game, and which makes up for some, I think, what I would consider some deficiencies in the combat. You saw I'm not the best at this game. It's just there's some parts where I'm just not very good, and that probably plays into it too. But the combat's nothing special. I did find the hand-to-hand kind of odd. I think it just I don't know. It just was kind of weird. It seemed harder than it needed to be. It just seemed sometimes I got frustrated because it was like I feel like I had time to get a shot off or get a swing in, and I didn't, and it was like I don't know about that. So that was a little different. And the set pieces were really, really nice. See, here, the thing with this game, again, story's very well done. The settings are really well done. But even with some parts that were sort of open, I mean, you have these large set pieces. It's not like you're walking down a hallway the entire time. You could go to this building or this building, but it's not. It's not truly open world like we think of it. It's not. It's not a true sandbox game. It's not even what I can. Another kind of game which features sort of a female protagonist in a sort of a kind of a similar setting, which are the Tomb Raider games. It's not even as open world as the Tomb Raider games. At least the Tomb Raider games, there's parts where you can kind of revisit, and that was always kind of frustrating for me. Is like there were times where I would, as you're kind of going around looking for some things. Oh, what just happened there? You're kind of going around looking for parts and things like that in a room or whatever, and you go through a door and then something falls, and then it's like, well, now I can't go back into that part of the building, and I didn't get to investigate half of it. That's kind of frustrating. You're kind of funneled down this linear path, which again, that's fine. That's a creative decision made by the game, and it works for the game. Again, this was an excellent game. But for me, what has always been a tough, when you think about like quote the best game or what I enjoy the most or things like that, it's hard sometimes for me to compare a game like this versus a more open world type game, because for me, I don't ever have a interest or desire to revisit this game. Once we're done with this, once I wrap up this commentary here in the next couple of minutes, that's going to be it for me for this game. I don't revisit it. Whereas not that I do that all the time with other open world games, but it's kind of it's because it plays more like a movie or sort of an extended series. Once it's done, it's kind of done, because again, you can't revisit those parts that you were already in. It's a very you're kind of just. It's almost like there's a wall that's behind you and just sort of gently pushes you along, and you can move forward at your own pace, however you want, but don't try to go backwards. It doesn't work that way. So that's kind of always been something that's been a little struggle with that is because it's so story driven, you don't have the flexibility to necessarily move at your own pace with things. I don't know if that's that big a deal or not. Still doesn't take away from the fact that the game was excellently made and excellently done. What else is there to touch on? There's a lot to unpack here. I liked, and again, I think I touched on this already. These conclusions are all over the place. I'm sorry. The other thing that I liked, and I mentioned this a couple times, was I did like the sort of the parallel stories happening at the same time in sort of the same settings. I did like that part of it. It was interesting when you think about the first Last of Us, which took place over a very long period of time. This, for the most part, took place in like a 3 or 4 day window. I mean, you had some, extended out either way, but the bulk of this was in a couple day window, which was interesting, which was nice. I did find that I liked the game. Again, I just keep going back to this. The story is so well done, and the characters are so deep and well written and well acted. Joel, guy that does Joel, he's everybody knows how good Troy Baker is. But the other people are just, good too, Ellie, Abby, they all did a really nice. I think Ellie and Abby were very well voice acted. I think of the and part is because that's who you're kind of playing as, so you get more of them. But I thought as far as the female voice actors go, I thought Ellie and Abby were the two best. I liked the Abby character. I really did. I found myself, and I don't know if this is just me or if this was creatively how they wanted it to go. I did find myself liking Abby more than Ellie. I really did. I thought that she was. I just, I think her character was given more time to develop. She had more character development during the game than what I think Ellie did. But I did find myself liking her. I thought, and part of it was I felt like her decision making was more rational. It was more logically driven, whereas Ellie's was more driven on emotion. Hers, just got to go back after got to do that, would make up for Joel's death. Whereas again, Abby, I thought was a little bit more rational in her thinking, letting the other folks go in Jackson, and then when Liv stepped in and said, "Don't kill him." That was it. So, but I do want to kind of wrap this up. The other thing I'll touch on is, and again, I don't want this taken the wrong way, but I don't know if I needed this game. The way the last one ended, I thought was a perfect ending. I would say perfect. I would have been fine had there would have been no Last of Us 2, despite how excellent this game was. And I think part of that, again, is just because how well the story is. I don't know if there's going to be a third one, probably as good as these series are. I would be fine if it ends here, but if it does move forward, I'm curious to see the direction that they go and how that's going to work. Is it going to be Ellie searching for Dina? Are we going to get to see Abby again? I will say this. If they do make a third game, I would be, if they're going to keep these characters, I think you have to bring both Ellie and Abby back. I in my opinion, you do, but maybe not. Anyways, we should probably wrap this up. I don't think there's anything else I want to touch on as far as this goes. Really excellent. I mean, really well done. Really, really well done, as I mentioned. Not as to be expected from the studio. It's one. I mean, it's one of the better games I've played in a long time, just because of all those things I've mentioned. It's really, really well done, and I am glad that we got to share it together. So for those of you that stuck around with me, I appreciate it. But this is going to be our last episode for Last of Us Part 2. Maybe we'll be back for Last of Us Part 3 at some point in the next 6 years or however long it takes them to churn one of these out. I know there's a lot of work that goes into these, so it might be a little while before we get to revisit this if there's going to be one. But either way, appreciate you sticking with us. Lots of other series out there on the channel, so feel free to check those out. But yeah, that's going to be it. Excellent job, Naughty Dog. Brilliant work. Hats off to you for a truly remarkable game. Story, unbelievable. Unbelievable. You guys do great work, so congratulations to you guys. And again, thanks to you guys watching for checking us out. So that's it. We're done. We did it. We made it. Come on back, and we'll see you somewhere else.